Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Beardos, Widows, Balls of Ghouls. Where's my chat? Leanne, get off my lawn. Thank you for the 199 for the jumpers for Justin. It starts. Right, I know a lot of people are thinking I'm going to be roasting Justin. There'll only be a little bit of it. Only a little bit. I'm more interested in his paranormal journey because Justin is one of few people that I trust with his paranormal tales. If Justin says to me, I believe in each strive, it adds credibility to my experiences. Because Justin is probably every bit as sceptical, if not more, than I am. I mean, none of us are as sceptical as old Kenny Biddle, but we are very sceptical, and, you know, we want the truth, not the theatrics. So it'll be an interesting chat. So I appreciate you all jumping in nice and early. I'm not going to do massive introductions and, you know, who are you, what do you do, because I'm pretty sure you all know exactly what the Paranormal Monkey does. So we'll do the participants quick, and then we'll get Justin in, because I assume we'll never run out of things to say. AV Stevie, thank you for the 32 months. 4 months away from 3 years. That's huge. Thank you very, very much, Stevie, and thank you very, very much for your continued support since the day I got monetized, I think. You and a few others, legend. Thank you very much. Is Justin wearing knitwear? He wasn't wearing anything just now. Right, so tonight we've got Alexis, Artemis, Ali D, Alrar, Amy and Ozzy, Arts of Craft Lady, AV Stevie, Orbam, Beyond the Bay Window. How we doing, Liam? Good to see you. Bean Sawyer, Blue Floyd, Boohoo You, Bristolian Kiwi, Bristol Paranormal Hunters UK, Caroline Saxby, Kel Scarlett, Christian, Darkvale Tim, Debs, Donna Arnold, Dorset Paranormal, Entity 7, Joe Vitale, Fantastic Publishing Sarah, Far From Perfect OK, Giuseppe Stromboli, Huxlum, it's Jolene, Jason Halls, that's not the real Jason Halls before anyone gets excited. Mods, keep an eye on that one, will you? Jen McCarley, Jenny J, John Boy Patton, Crazy Ken, Ladies Fright, Leanne, get off my lawn! Lisa, APRF, Lula Moon, Mags McLeod, Margaret Kieran, Mark Knight, Gal, Mike James, Mike Oh! I made myself laugh again. Mike's Mysteries, Mrs. Bob the Beard, OR 2009, PNC History, The Paranormal Monkey, Pinky's Art and Music, Pomp, Quirky Bird, Roger Bowen, Sandra BBH UK, Sarah Powell, Shadow Icy, Shelley Gowlin, Silver Lady, Stormy Chris, Original Cujo, The Pink Angel, Wayne's World of Rock Music, Wendy J, Weird Fox, and Yvette State. I was glad that said State. Welcome in, everybody. Kenny, if you're here for cake, there isn't any, I'm afraid. You'll have to ask Justin to reimburse you. Just saying. I missed you. Sorry, Marie Jane Ginjuice. Alka Potano? I hope I've said that right. I probably butchered it, but close enough. Kenny Beardo called you old. No, old Kenny Biddle as in, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, innit? He is old, but you respect him a little. Right, no messing about. Let's get the jumper to the stage.
Evening.
Evening.
Look, no jumper. It's too warm for a jumper. I was tempted to bring out, like wear my Ghostbusters jumper, but I thought, no, I can't do it. Not with it being this warm out there.
Funnily enough, I went upstairs to check out my wife's knitwear cardigans to look for, she wears like hippie colours. I was going to grab one of them. I was like, it's way too hot for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Right. Jolene has posted a link there. I've got to do it on this screen. I don't know. You pin on Streamlabs. There we go. I'll just leave the pinned message there. So, Justin, Paranormal Monkey podcast. You've been doing this, was it 2 years now? 2.5?
The podcast, yeah, about that.
So, obviously, I talk about your podcast all the time. You heard what I was saying to the chat. I'm not so much interested in that because I promote the hell out of you while mocking you for it.
Yeah, I know.
My interest is your interest in the paranormal because obviously I've heard bits and pieces. I've heard your experience or some of your experiences at 30 East Drive, and there are very few people that I trust in the paranormal space, but when Steve from the Ouija Brothers, Griff, and you all say to me we've had experiences, I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah.
That not only bolsters what I experienced, but it makes it more. It makes it less ridiculous what I experienced because
Yeah. I
there's
don't get me wrong. I mean, as you know, people are going, oh, because I think you put that I'm a believer. Yeah, kind of, but I'm more skeptical, and I am. It's there's a lot of nothing that goes on with investigating, and I've had
yeah
years of nothing. Right. So I'm not one of these people. I'm not a woo woo person in the slightest.
no
So where do you want to start? Do you want to start from childhood starting, or would you want to start from
yes
paranormal truth days?
no the start the very start
Right.
because you
Okay.
you
So
had poltergeist activity as a child, didn't you?
yeah, yeah. So it was in. I'm trying to think now. I think it was 1987. So I would have been 10 years old. Oh, 10 years old, and
I
it
was
was
6.
in my family home. It didn't last. It didn't last very long. It was kind of typical, actually, of I suppose poltergeist cases. I think it lasted all in total around about 7-8 weeks. So not very long, very short
Mm,
amount of time. Um, but things started to occur from day one of my parents moving into this home. So my home, very very quickly, used to be a shop for a factory, a shoe factory that was used to be opposite. It was converted into two homes, then back into one home, and we moved in the 80s. So it was built in the 1800s, had a bit of history about the building itself, but from the very first night that my parents were there, my mum particularly just did not like it, and it should have been like a happy time,
yeah.
an exciting time, but she did not like the atmosphere of the home. She made us all sleep in one room, and so things started to happen from night one, and most of it was kept from me and my two younger brothers. So we my parents didn't tell us about it, um, but things that my parents probably had on a daily basis was banging on the walls, particularly in the kitchen wall downstairs, and would stop if my mum got annoyed and would shout at it to stop.
Oh.
And because she was worried, we had my parents had these porcelain plates, these decorative porcelain plates from the
Yeah.
80s. My mum had a bunch of those on the wall, and they were shaking with this thing banging. And my mum was more concerned about the plates that they would fall and drop and smash. And so on a fairly regular basis, this would occur. Sometimes it would stop, sometimes it would stop on its own. But there's been a few occasions when my mum would literally tell it to. I don't. Should I swear? No, I'm not going to try and swear. But she would tell it to go in not too in certain terms, and it would stop like that. And then other times, they would go out to the supermarket for some food, pack. We obviously I was only 10. My brothers were 5, 6 years old. We had lots of toys and stuff around. They used to have toy boxes. We had toy boxes. Put all the toys away. Go to the supermarket. Come back. Lock. Have the house locked up, and then come back to find the toys scattered all over the house.
All
Um,
right.
TV was changing channels on its own. Things would be moving. So that there was a lot of stuff going on. Fast forward 7-8 weeks, the owner who we bought the property from was in the area, seeing a friend. They'd moved. It was just a lady called Mrs. Mason. Don't know if I should tell you her real name, but her name was Mrs. Mason, and she came back. See friends in the area. She'd moved to Oxford. She came back, and just see what my parents were doing in terms of decorating, and my parents were doing a lot. And that my parents, mum and dad, particularly, were a bit embarrassed because they'd done a lot of changing their home essentially,
Yeah.
and they didn't say anything about the poltergeist stuff because you wouldn't, and they didn't even think about it. But they showed this lady around the house, and anyway, before she left, she said to my mum and dad, "Oh, you've been having some strange things happen here, haven't you?" My mum was just like, um, well, yeah. She said, no, it's okay. She said, it's Martin, but it's okay. Martin's with me now, so you won't have any more problems. And then when she left, Martin was her husband. He died in a motorbike accident in the next village along, which is the reason why she moved house. Why? Because the memories of being in that property was too much
Yeah.
for her. So she left, and she left to go to Oxford, and from that point on, nothing else happened. So that was that story and all those incidents, and I can remember certain things like my bedroom was always freezing cold, even in summer, even with radiators on. My bedroom also smelt of earth. My mum called it potatoes, but kind of that earthy smell. No idea why. And so that was my start with the paranormal. And
That's
from that point,
incredible.
I read everything about the paranormal. So I think I joined the Society for Psychical Research when I was about 13. And it stemmed from there, basically.
Oh, that's incredible. So, as a child, obviously, you said your parents didn't let you know what was going on or play up to.
No.
So, did you find out more at what got on later in life when did you ask
Yeah, but
questions or?
the, there were certain things that my dad, my mum and dad, my mum was more terrified of it. My dad was more found it. Neither of them were into the paranormal, but they both found it vaguely amusing. Particularly my dad. My dad would kind of make a joke of it, and make
Yeah.
light of it, and that's how we took it. And so we used to play on it, and I used to play on it a little bit um with people like babysitters. I'd terrify them on purpose just because it was funny and do that. But yeah, I think I was only told some parts of it. I've not been told till I was much later, so probably in my 20s. And some parts of the story, the very first episode I did of my podcast, I spoke to my mum about what happened, and there were things that she was telling me then, and I didn't actually know. So
Ah,
so some things have been quite recent. Just was a problem child, but yeah, but it's that kind of thing of because I got really interested in it, I want to know what was going on, and we didn't tick a lot of the poltergeist boxes. Some things we did, short lived. We
yeah.
weren't in a council house. That we weren't adolescents. So we were not of a teen. We weren't have this kind of this theory around it being teenagers. None of us were teenagers. Was it high stress? Yeah, I suppose because we just moved into the house.
Hmm.
So there's that. But the really interesting thing for me was that link with the previous owner, and then from that day she left, everything stopped, and so that's always fascinated me as well.
Yeah, that's they're the type of story. Obviously, you get guests on your podcast, and when they see those types of things, that's when you get like, oh, they're the stories I like, where there's sort of other links, where there's
Yeah,
almost like traceable elements to what is causing what's going on. I find those incredible, and
yeah,
some
exactly.
some people, a lot of people, they tell me these stories, and my half of my brain is going, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this, and the other half of my brain is going, I don't want it to be that. I want it to be
Yeah,
real, and they seem genuine to me, so I'm just going to take them at face value for it. And I can't
yeah.
investigate it now, and I love those
Well,
stories.
I would still, from my skeptical head, I would think, okay, well, maybe the banging on the walls was some kind of pipe work. Maybe the TV
Yeah,
changing channel on its own was just the fact that it was the 80s and TVs were crap then. So, but there's lots of those things where I can kind of dismiss it, but I still I remember certain things from that time. And I know my parents were not remotely interested in the paranormal whatsoever, and and my mum, like I say, was just didn't want to talk about it. She was just terrified. But yeah, certain things I absolutely do remember. But yeah, that's where it stemmed from. So I started with that upbringing, I suppose, if you want to call it, with that experience, and
yeah,
then didn't do anything with the paranormal again till so I was interested in my teenage years. Stopped around about when I was 18, went to university, then marriage and divorce and kids and all of those kinds of things got in the way. And now I can. I'm older. I've still got that fascination, and so yeah, 2017 is when I was doing stuff on my. Well, actually, no, 2015. I was doing stuff on my own, going out, not for YouTube or anything like that. I just had that bug that I need, that kind of that itch I needed to scratch, I suppose. And I was going off on my own and going to supposed haunted locations and videoing stuff for myself and trying to get that evidence. And yeah, not remotely interested in YouTube at all, but just for my own. I wanted proof,
Yeah.
and so I learned a lot. Then I joined a ghost event company with Phil Wyman, and I did that for a while. But I was still had that skeptical. Certainly the ghost event company. You know, you see members of public getting giddy over nothing at all, and
Yeah.
so I was still kind of learning my way around the paranormal. So that's the time when I was buying K2 meters and I was buying these things, and then as time went on, I got more and more skeptical and fell into then joining up with this other guy called Dale and joined this channel called Paranormal Truth, which was in 2017. So and it was a shared hatred of spirit boxes that brought us together, basically. And yeah, we decided to team up and go about things in a very kind of skeptical way. And we just wanted to, if it was real, we just wanted to record it, audio, visual. That's it. No gadgets, no toys. And this is back in the day when we were one of the very, very few people that started going about things in that vein. And because we were doing that, the likes of Steve and Griff, who were just starting, and I think they didn't even have anything recorded. No videos were out at that point. They were just going out to East Drive and things.
Yeah.
And they saw us and they thought, oh, this is the avenue. This is the way we want to go about doing things. And so that's why we did a lot of stuff with the Ouija Brothers, because we had that shared feeling of, we just want to capture it, whether there's nothing going on, we just want to get it. And yeah, so we became very, very skeptical over time. And yeah, that was the start of Paranormal Truth days, basically.
It's mad the influence that you had on me without me ever watching Paranormal Truth, because you influenced the guys that influenced me. And
Yeah.
even when you started the Paranormal Monkey podcast, I didn't realize you were that Justin. And then you said it on, because I didn't catch the first few, because I didn't know who you were. And then somebody said, "Oh, check out the Paranormal Monkey podcast." Like, hey, this is decent. I can get into this. And then you said something about Haunt the Truth, and I was like, "Oh, have you heard of that?" Most of the guys that I will work with all say, yeah, back in the day, Haunt the Truth. That's
Paranormal Truth, yeah.
Paranormal
Well,
Truth. That's where it came from.
we were kind of, again, we're very, very simple. We just wanted we just investigate. We went all over the country. We also made a documentary on Ouija boards, which we put on Amazon Prime, and it wasn't about it was us using Ouija boards, but the whole premise of it was, look, these things don't work. And we were in 10 of them. We went around the country, 10 of the most haunted places in the country with a Ouija board, saying, and if something's going to happen, it's going to happen in these locations. And it never did. Never did. So that's where we'd bring in, we went to Chris French's, went to Goldsmiths University and interviewed Chris French. We went over to New Bucks University and interviewed Kieran O'Keefe. And that's how we started with Kieran. And so yeah, so it was all around that. And so it was always around going to a place, looking at the claims, and to be honest, getting nothing or very, very little. And it was a shame, really, but we felt as though we were having to apologize after every episode for not getting anything,
Yeah, and that happened. Obviously, we watch. I watch a lot of junk because that's what I do on YouTube. But I watch, obviously, I see a lot of the good guys. There's not many of them. But there's always that thing at the end, another quiet night, nothing happened. It
Yeah.
always makes me laugh that people can watch the guys that every video is, yeah, quiet night, nothing happened. But then you'll see them in other chats and they're like, oh, it's incredible. So that's the same house. How
Well,
can you be
well,
in the same house and be that violent and nasty and evil, yet when 3 other teams have gone in there, there has been nothing? Like
yeah.
you dead cold.
Bless you, Mark. Bless you, Mark, for that. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it was because of that. I think because we were getting nothing, we would go there usually in the afternoon to get B-roll footage and things like that and drone footage, and then we would start the investigation at 8. We'd probably stay there till about 2 in the morning. But because we were putting these things out and not getting a lot, it Paranormal Truth became known for these mammoth live streams that we would do, where we would think, okay, well, if we're not getting anything from 8 till 2, then let's stay there till the morning. Let's go through the night, and then we'll start doing live streams. And we didn't think anybody would watch, quite frankly, because you're thinking, okay, well, who's going to stay up till 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, watching us two at the likes of East Drive? But that's how what we became known for, is just going for these mammoth long investigations. And we still got a lot of nothing. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but we started particularly with East Drive, and I'm sorry, take a drink, everybody, if you could. Every time I mention East Drive, um, but because East Drive drew us in because it, for whatever, it would give us little bits of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, could be something, could be nothing, and so we kept on going back, and that's how we got drawn into 30 East Drive, and that's why, yeah, we went there more than any other place.
Yeah, that's why I've been there more than it's paid wise. It's the most. It's the paid location I've been to more than any other because there's always little bits and people I trust have had bigger things, and I'm like, one day I'll get those bigger things. But what I also find with East Drive is my imagination runs away with me because I know the
Yeah,
story, and
yeah,
because I've the thing with Griff with what looked like a chest push. I went there like the week after that video came out, and I freaked myself out so bad I left. About 4 o'clock in the morning, I left. And the reason I go back is, even though it's only little, it's the only location where I get these little things, and I'm like, one
yeah,
day something is going to happen.
yeah. Oh, and that's what I mean. That's unfortunately now it's become, because it's so popular. Certainly with big event companies, and haunted happenings are known for this, and block booking East Drive.
Yeah,
You can't do now what we could do, which was book 6 nights in a row, which is what we did. And where we spent basically a week there, and we did live streams every night for 6 nights in a row, from 8 till 5 in the morning, every night for 6 nights in a row. It was draining, but it was the best way to actually trying to get a grip of what may or may not be going on in that particular place. And so, yeah, so we tried to. I mean, that was a bit of a one-off, to be honest, but we would still try and get in there for like 2 days minimum, 2 or 3 days, or 3 or 4 days minimum, to have a good amount of time in that place, because a night just wasn't enough for us, and we could keep on going back to that bloody house.
yeah,
So we spent hundreds of hours in that bloody house, and yeah, and like I say, the vast majority of the time, nothing. And I hear a lot of people being extremely skeptical of East Drive, and to be honest, I get it. I absolutely get it, because yeah, if you're going there with an event company, you're probably going to get nothing at all, absolutely nothing at all.
yeah,
And yeah, so yeah, and I say to anybody, yeah, dampen your expectations of that place.
yeah. I
But
mean,
we did get stuff happening.
the first time I went there with the sole intention of finding the knock-in devices, of finding the trickery, finding how they were basically hooking people in, and
Yeah.
I was like, there is nothing. I can't find anything. I didn't meet Carol the first time, but obviously we know that Carol has been
Once met,
unwell.
never forgotten. Yeah.
Oh yeah, But we know Carol has been really unwell for quite some time, so the idea of her climbing up ladders and banging on windows and stuff, particularly in my time of going there, I mean, at one point, I only ever saw her. I think it's a son or a grandson, because she wasn't even physically able to come to a door to hang keys out. People are like, oh,
Yeah.
that's Carol. I was like, well, Carol's not doing a job because I'm not getting anything, you know.
Yeah.
But then when I did get something, it's like, oh, that was Carol. I was like, well, unless she climbed over my bed and started pulling that drawer handle while I'm asleep, and then climbed back out without being captured on camera, I don't understand. And it's Philip's room. It's the furthest room away from Carol's house. It's the far corner, the bathroom and that
Yeah.
bedroom, and there's nothing the other side of it. But I understand why people are like, "Oh, 30 Strives a joke," because of that video of her throwing coins and
Yeah.
other people going there faking.
I'm I think I am still even though I've had things going on there, we'll talk about that later. Um, I'm still very, very skeptical of Carol's involvement,
Mm.
right? For that reason. She's a lovely lady and she'll talk to you till the cows come home, bless her, right? And there was a time, hate name dropping, but there was a time when we was investigating with Kieran,
Yeah.
and we placed Carol in a bedroom upstairs, and it was on a live stream camera, and we could hear her whispering, and it was like she, I say, had a connection, but obviously she knows the house so well. She was kind of whispering to the spirits as such, and I'm going, that's kind of interesting because if we get anything now, if we get, is it because she's enticed them to come forwards? And we did get a couple of things happen in Kieran O'Keefe's presence. So yeah, I would just watch her like a hawk. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Obviously, with her being unwell, the last time I went was the first time I proper met Carol because she just came bounding in because the internet has crapped out on us. Carol's always been very kind with the internet and stuff. I know that she normally charges some people. She has never ever charged me just because I know you and Steve and Griff. She
Yeah,
looks after me just because of who I know. Um, but I've never anything that I've ever experienced at East Drive has been nothing to do with Carol. It's
no,
just a shame
no,
that it's got that reputation, and then it's bolstered more by people going there and faking stuff. I mean, that video the other day where I heard some. We know the sound of that kitchen floor. It's so old and crunchy. I'm like,
yeah,
I know that sound, and then the door shuts, and I'm like, oh, sorry, opens. I'm like, that's just somebody in the kitchen. I heard
yeah.
that footstep that we've all stood on that crunchy bit of the lino because it's dry and
The
cracked.
thing is, absolutely, there's certain places like the kitchen makes a hell of a noise. You'd never be able to sneak up the stairs because the
No,
stairs are just so incredibly creaky. So
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of places where you can just know. I know those sounds. I know the smells of that building.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I genuinely believe there's something there. And Lee from Three Spires, he's very skeptical and he believes there's something there. Dean that comes out with me now and again, he believes there's something there. And everywhere I've gone with Dean, he's just there's nothing here, nothing's
Yeah.
happening, and it's only ever 30 strike. He's only ever been once, but that was enough for him to say I think there's something there.
Yeah, like I say, I get it. I do get it because it has been overdone. And
Yeah.
the when we first went there, we did not go in there with the thought of this place is really haunted. We went in, or I certainly went in there with the thought of um, this place is a scam. And everything I knew about Poltergeist just didn't add up. Well, this is from the '60s, so this has been hanging around for over 50 years.
Hmm.
Nah, nah. It's meant to be, child focused, or people focused. This seems to be a Poltergeist is not going to hang around for 50 years in the same building without a regular family.
Whatever is
And
going on
so
there is 100% not the most violent poltergeist in the world
no,
anymore, at
no,
all.
no. And say I think the story the story is a great story, right? Um, but I think the reality is very very different. There's lots of things which have been said about the place. There's lots of things about a well and the characters, the names of people. Oh, it's not Fred, it's Robert, or it's Michael, or it's whatever.
Michael,
And there's a
Simon.
little girl called Emma, and there's this and there's that, and there's all these. It gets added to over time.
Yeah.
And all I can say is from what we got, and like I said, sometimes our very first night there, with that, vast majority, nothing happened. And then we were setting up the most basic live stream. Dale had an Apple iPad, iMac, no, Apple iPad, and that was what we were running our live stream from. So we would set up this, and we were watching it on our mobile phones in downstairs, and then nothing was going on. Dale fell asleep, and he could write a book about it. I know.
He's
Um,
worse than you, he is.
yeah, and yeah, nothing was going on. And then around 4:30 in the morning, Dale fell asleep, and then we started to get these taps, knocks, bangs from upstairs, and I was the only one awake, so I had to go up there and investigate. And when I was up there, you heard nothing, but when you went back downstairs, things would start happening again.
Yeah, because you had a night there with Diane. I can't remember the other. It was mostly
There was
ladies
there
you
was
had
there was
there.
8. Yeah, a number of us. Yeah.
Yeah, mostly ladies, I believe. And
Yeah,
was
well,
that
it was
the most active night you had there?
that was the night of all nights, basically. Yeah. So, to give you an idea, we'd had a 2-dayer at East Drive. So the first night we'd invited Rosie O'Carroll, I think it's the name, Rosie O'Carroll, I think it is, from the Ghost Club, very prestigious society in the UK, and John Fraser from Society for Psychical Research, and he joined us. They both joined us. We didn't know this. John was writing his Poltergeist book at that time, and he'd already gone off and did some research. He was asking, going down to the Working Men's Club and the library, and he wanted to know what the truth of the story was, and whether there's any eyewitnesses who knew the Pritchards. And he did all that before we arrived, before he got to East Drive. So anyway, we met them, had a night, and nothing occurred out of ordinary, but we didn't expect anything to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they had that was their first night. And on the second night, because Paranormal Truth had a growing reputation, we invited some kind of like some subscribers or some followers, however you want to call it, to join us for the second night. So we had 8. Some were skeptical, some were male, some were female. We had a bit of a mixture, and again, nothing of any note was going on. So, but at one point, Diane Chambers, who's one of my mods, even now, and a number of other ladies went into Philip's bedroom, and
Yeah.
they said, "Well, you've tried calling out the guys, the men have tried calling out, and nothing's happening. How about we just get together as just an all female group, and we'll see if we call out whether we get anything. Maybe the female energy. There's Diane, she's in the chat.
Yeah, she's been here
Maybe
all stream.
sorry, Diane, just seen you, Diane. Yeah, so they decided that they felt that they might have more luck just being all women. So that the guys went downstairs into the kitchen area, and the ladies started to do like a séance and calling out. And from what they said, they fairly quickly felt that something was in the room with them. One of them felt as if a hand was pressing down on their arm. They could almost see fingerprint marks on their arm, and they start to feel as though something wanted their attention. Now, whether it's because Diane has the name Diane, there's
Oh,
Diane
yeah.
Pritchard as well. I don't know whether the entity, for whatever you want to call it, thought that our Diane was the Diane Pritchard. I don't know, but they felt that something was in there with them. But instead of giving it any kind of attention, they decided to ignore it and went downstairs. So
Yeah.
we were all downstairs in the kitchen area, and I was counting heads. I was making sure we had a camera on the landing doing the live stream. As you can't sneak upstairs without it
No.
being very, very obvious. We had a camera on the landing. Everybody was downstairs, and So the live stream was going on. So the live stream was happening in real time. The camera was on the landing, pointing towards the toilet area, and we were just chatting downstairs. And they were telling us about what they felt, and they thought that something was there. And pretty quickly, or after a certain amount of time, there was this knocking that started to occur from within Philip's bedroom. It wasn't outside. It wasn't Carol's room. It wasn't creaky floorboards. It was banging on furniture, and it was loud enough for us to hear it in the kitchen. So I thought they were kind of pointing up,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my god, something's happening!" And I didn't have a voice recorder or anything in that room, so I ran up with the lady and put a voice recorder on the floor, and then ran back downstairs. And I was like, "Please carry on, please just keep doing what you were doing." And lo and behold, it did, and it was probably, I would say, in the region of 12 to 15 bangs on furniture from within Philip's bedroom. So, and it was getting louder and seemingly more aggressive. I know that's a psychological term, but it's seemingly getting louder and more insistent. And so after a little while, I went back into that room, not entirely happy about going into that room, but I did. Got my voice recorder back, and I thought, I just want to see if I've captured it and caught it, and I want to make sure whether it's within this room more than anything else. So I brought it back downstairs. I was listening to it on headphones, and it was clear as crystal. You could even tell it was on wooden furniture. And there's only two things that was made of wood in that Philip's room, which was a small table near the bed and the big TV cabinet kind of thing, which I was assuming is more likely going to be the TV cabinet. And it was bang, 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 bang. And I was like, holy shit, we've actually got something, and we know where everybody is, and it's within this room. So I was passing the headphones around to everybody. Listen to this. We've got it. And it's holy Christ, what the? And I was just so overjoyed. This was the only time, I would say, where I felt we had genuinely something going on in the room above us, and we knew where everybody was, and everybody was downstairs. And whilst that was going on, I wasn't scared. I was more excited that we'd actually captured something which I thought was genuine. So we're also still talking about it. We're still ignoring it. We're not even going. We're not running up there to investigate. We're just kind of ignoring it because that seemed to work. And then at that point, it was the loudest stamping I've occurred from the doorway of Philip's bedroom, going diagonally across the room, and then just stopped in the corner of Philip's bedroom. And it was loud, and it was with force, and it went bang, 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 and it was directly above our heads. It went. We tracked it across the ceiling, and it suddenly stopped, and the lampshade in the kitchen downstairs was swinging with the force of this thing that was going on. Now, as soon as that happened, we were kind of staring at each other, going and swearing and laughing, and kind of like, "Holy fuck! What did we just experience?"
Yeah.
And to this day, that stands out as the most incredible thing, which tells me a couple of things. Number one, well, first and foremost, I went in as a skeptic, and I had to admit that was I could not explain that. I could not explain it. This wasn't some kind of underfloor heating. This was not some creaky floorboard.
No.
This was something that was genuinely shocking, and in a place I thought was a scam. And this occurred directly above our heads, and that's when I had, and it's still hard for me to bloody say it. I had to go in as a skeptic and say, "Oh, this place is rubbish," and then after that, I had to say, "I think this place is haunted. This is that I can't explain what that was," and it was great in a way because we had 9 other people who witnessed the same thing.
Yeah.
It still ranks to me as the most amazing thing I've ever experienced, and will ever experience. And I've heard some weird stuff, and I've experienced some weird stuff, and that still stands out as
recordings.
Dale would have had those recordings. Unfortunately, Dale closed the channel down. because they the voice recorders were Dale's at that point. So I would love in future to be able to get hold of Dale and say, please, can I just, because he will have had certainly the recordings, the rapping in the bedroom.
Yeah.
He looked into. There's a chap called Barry Colvin, who Barry Colvin is a guy that examines waveform analysis, and his whole research was that a poltergeist knock has a different waveform than somebody banging on a table, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've
It's a bit
heard.
strange.
I
And
have
anyway,
heard that before, but it was you. It was you when you
and
had Diana
yeah,
go on. Yeah.
Dale examined our waveforms that we captured in that room, and it matched genuine poltergeist cases that Barry Colvin had caught. So it was that's so to my in my mind, I don't know what that was. I know, and I would. It's gutting that I don't have those recordings because I'd love to play them to you, but I don't have them.
Yeah. What a shame.
The interesting thing for us as well, and this is on a side note, is this live stream was going on, and the camera was outside the door to Philip's room. So whilst this was going on with this huge banging and these footsteps and the knocking and all that kind of thing, we thought, brilliant. Everybody at home was going to have heard that. Everybody at home was going to have heard that. And when you review it, as loud as it was for us downstairs in the kitchen, you could barely hear anything on the live stream, right? You could hear our reaction in the kitchen louder than you could hear the footsteps or the stamping that was going on in the room next to the camera. And that makes no sense either. you know.
Can you guys do that with the waveform for the knocking noises I've recorded?
Yes, Liam. Yeah. Can, yeah.
That'd be interesting. I left the comment on for ages then. I would absolutely love to do a version of 2.0 with Justin. The issue is that we are polar opposites of the UK pretty much. I think there's about a 4.5 hour drive between me and Justin.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
but
a,
no,
it's
I
a
mean,
shame.
I mean, so that event, was just phenomenal. And I thought, well, actually, I if I get nothing else from the paranormal, that will do me. That will absolutely do me because of how interesting. I'm just curious how a genuine podcast was determined to. All right, this is bloody Kenny. I'm just basing it on the recordings that we had and how they match Barry Colvin's waveform analysis. And even if you could be very skeptical of the knocks and the bangs, or it could be you think, oh, it could be something in between the ceiling and the floorboards, or it could be the heater, or it could be this, or it could be that. Trust me, I've gone through every different scenario and situation to try and work out what the hell that was, and I still don't know. Anyway, so yeah, we one thing said, would you not try and recreate it that night? We did try to recreate the stamping noises, and with Griff. On a later thing, and Griff stamped so hard because we were going, no, it's got to be loud. It was louder than that, Griff. It was louder than that, and so he stamped so hard he nearly brought the ceiling in because of how it was just like. But yeah,
He's a big lad.
He's a big guy.
Big lad. I've never felt so small in my entire life. The first time I met him. So I've got to ask the flip flop. I mock you for it all the time. What is the flip flop story? The real one, not the one for the mocking.
No, the mock away, because I mean there's things that we had that was better. Let's put it that way. So the whole flip flop story was I did a lone vigil alone because we would have those times when we would do a lone investigation or lone vigil in 30 East Drive. No, everybody else would wait outside in their cars or whatever. And I was sat in Philip's bedroom. Bearing in mind, I'm still tetchy about Philip's room. I do not like that room because of that incident, right? And I'm sat in Philip's bedroom on the bed. And I'm thinking, oh shit, please don't want anything to happen. I'm really not enjoying this at all. And I'm sat there and I'm calling out as you do, and I've got a camera facing me and it's doing a live stream. And then obviously it's pitch black. It was pitch black darkness at that point, so I could not see anything. And a and all of a sudden this thing landed by my feet, and I don't know what it was. Something moved within the room, and I'm like, "Fucking hell!" And you do, and it did a little bit of flip flop wee come out. Yeah, it was a little bit of that. A little bit of wee came out, and I was, oh, and it was Dale had put a pile of clothes and his flip flops on his chair next to the bed. Now, on the footage, I don't think I touched that. It did generally just fall. Gravity, I would just say. Not anything paranormal related, but yeah, in the moment, in the pitch black darkness, when something moves, it's not very nice. So yeah, people still take the piss because yeah, I showed my true colors of how cool, calm, and collected I was when something moves in front of you. That's the flip flop story. Oh, can't hear you. Mike's gone.
Is that better?
That's better. I can hear you now.
Um, I've been in places where people have dropped a torch and dropped things out of their pocket or their bag or wherever, and the screams that people have let out. And I've always laughed and mocked, but I took my nephew out with me one night. I was like, "There's something seems to be moving over there." I was like, "It's probably a mouse or a rat," and he threw a stone and it landed right next to me. I literally took off. I shit myself. I was like, "Something's happened," and then I turned around and my nephew, he was like 10 at the time, and he's giving it all this in the corner. Like, all right,
Yeah.
you got me good.
Thing is
But
that
yeah,
you are in that fight or flight mode,
yeah.
particularly when you've been in a place for a long time. And so I think this was, I can't remember which particular time it was. They kind of blend into each other a bit, but they obviously would have been there a long time. Yeah, all right, Jan, thanks.
She got
Yeah,
both of us
but
there.
yeah, but it is one of those things where you're on that fight or flight mode of you're kind of half expecting something to happen. You want something to
Mm.
happen.
Yeah.
But when it does happen unexpectedly, that can be like, oh, but the maddest things have actually been times when stuff has happened unexpectedly. And I mean, one of them was when the kitchen door, something knocked on the kitchen door twice. And I didn't think anything of it because I just thought it was somebody behind the door. And it was only with Griff, we were with Steve and Griff at the time, and Griff was doing talking to the camera, and he was like, "Did you anybody hear that knock?" And it was only so it was Steve was stood right in front of the door. I'm looking at Steve. Kieran O'Keefe is next to me. There's two knocks on this door. I open the door. There's nobody behind it, and it's only at that point you think, "Oh, shit! Actually, that is really weird." But you don't think I didn't think anything of it at the time, and it's stuff like that when I think it's much more interesting.
Yeah, when I had I call it the loud night at East Drive because there was the thing in my bedroom. It woke me up. It was loud enough for that, and I didn't realise I'd left my camera on because an AX53, if it switches off on its own, you corrupt the memory card and you've got no hope of getting it back. And it woke me up, but I picked the camera. I was already I might have got whatever woke me up, and it sounded like the drawer handle lifting and dropping and lifting and dropping and lifting and
Yeah,
dropping, and then Dean shouts, I heard a bang, and I was like, "Dean, have you dropped your phone?" And he was like, "No, it's not me." And Lee's like, "It's not me." And I swear I've just heard somebody walk across the hallway. So that's a bit weird. And then I got home, I uploaded the footage to the cloud because we shared the footage. And the hairs on the back of my neck when I'm looking at all these sound bars when I know we're all asleep. And it sounded like somebody was dragging furniture. And I'm like, is that us rolling in the bed when we sleep in? Because those beds are metal frames. So obviously we went back. We had noises from people moving and rolling in the beds, but nothing like what we captured that night. And the strange thing is, none of us heard that. And there was somebody sleeping downstairs directly under that sound and didn't hear a thing. It was
yeah. I
so
mean,
loud.
there was a time I think it was Steve and Griff actually that was saying that one of the first times they were there, they thought it was so loud they thought somebody was moving furniture downstairs.
Hmm.
Moving chairs around and moving stuff around. So that was yeah, that's been known as has taps turning on their own in the bathroom. That's been kind of a lot of people talk about that as well. Um, One that Tim's just mentioned about a child laughing. I'll tell you that because that was kind of funny and kind of weird. Um, we were again doing this. We were with Steve and Griff. Steve had brought round his bloody Chucky doll. You know, he's got a bloody
Yeah.
life-size Chucky doll thing. So he brought round a Chucky doll, right, for the invest. And they thought, wouldn't it be funny if we gaffer tape a knife to Chucky's hand, right, and having posing as like a trigger object, and then if Chucky moves, it will look seriously mental. Anyway, so so Steve set up this Chucky doll. The camera was on Chucky with a knife in his hand like this, and then whatever time it was, midnight, something like that, or 1 in the morning, two police officers knocked on our on the front door of 30 East Drive, and so we opened it to find these two coppers out there, and they said, "I hope you don't mind, lads. We just saw the lights were on." And obviously they were bored on a night shift, right? So
Yeah.
saw the lights were on, lads. Just wondered what you're doing. And we was talking about that was there for the invested paranormal thing. Oh, they said, oh, that's really interesting. Do you mind if we have a look around? And blah blah blah. And there was like the two coppers. So it was like, yeah, come in. So we and all I could see on the laptop monitor was Chucky with a knife strapped to his hand. And we thought, oh shit, we've got these two coppers come looking around. Anyway, they were lovely. They were fine, absolutely fine. So we were chatting to them, Steve and Griff and me and Dale were all chatting to them as we were going around, giving them a tour of and giving them a bit of a story and stuff. And they saw the Chucky doll and they found it funny, thank Christ. And then as they were coming back down, they were saying it's one of the coppers was like, oh, it's funny actually because my every year we always dress up my kid as Chucky because he's got
Yeah.
ginger hair and he's that size. And anyway, so you know, because he's ginger, and we laughed and they were there, and we were in the kitchen, and let's say we laughed, coppers laughed, and then a little child in the on the landing, downstairs landing, laughed, and these two police officers were like, "Did you hear that?" And we were like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Does that happen often?" And we're like, well, it does happen. It does happen. And they're like, right, we're off, lads. We're out. We're out of here. We're gone. But yeah, so we've had, when you get stuff like that happening, it was like something couldn't help itself. But that wasn't that. Like I said, that was in the middle of the night, and that was downstairs. Just in that little landing strip before you get up to the staircase, right there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and I love those kinds of things. We're not expected, and it was almost like it couldn't help itself but join in.
Yeah, my first time there, I didn't think I had an experience. I thought I had a weird dream, and I didn't realize that other people had the same experience. But I slept in the parents' room, and I
Yeah.
woke up. I think I've told you about this, and it was like somebody'd had a blue light bulb and turned it on, and I was like, "Why is the room blue?" And then I just went back to sleep, and then I woke up in the morning like that was really bizarre. I had this dream of the room being lit up
Bright
blue.
blue.
And Steve said to me, "You're not the only person to have experienced that." He said, "Obviously, we've seen light balls there." And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't see a ball.
Yeah.
It was like there was a blue lamp on or something." He said, "Ring Paul from Ghosts on Trent now." He said, "But don't tell him anything. Just ask him what colour he saw in that room." And he described exactly what I'd seen. I was like, "Oh, wow." And it wasn't. It was when I was editing the video. I was like, yeah, I've got this. I asked Steve, how do I put out a video where nothing has happened?
Yeah.
And I told him about the dream, and he was like, ring Paul. And then I rang Paul. And like the hairs on my neck went up. I was like, wow, I had an experience, had no idea, and I can't even put it in the video because I've got nothing to prove it, and neither did Paul.
The thing is, when we were there a while, we it was strange. We started, like I said, when we were there for a long period of time, we started to feel there was a pattern going on, and
Yeah.
we'd find that as we were having a break or leaving the property or turning the cameras off, that's when stuff would happen. So then you go slightly mad because you're thinking, okay, well, some things can either see us or hear us, and then you start trying to think, oh, maybe we can trick it. Maybe we'll say we're turning the cameras off, but we'll keep them rolling. Maybe we'll say we're leaving, but then we're not. Or and you start to think you end up going like absolutely nuts, basically,
But do you
trying
remember
to
that
get stuff
happened
to
to me
happen.
with
I'm sorry.
that happened to me with real evidence. All my gear's packed away. While we were packing up, Mike left his camera running through the laptop while we were packing up, and I walked
Yep.
in and I'm doing that on the live stream. And I went, "Well done, Fred. Another weekend of absolutely fuck all." And there was three distinct knocks on the fireplace, and I went, "Cheers, Carol." And I looked at the camera and I was like, "See, as soon as you pack up to go home, then he starts. What a knob!" And then packed everything away. And then I had a couple of messages after, like, "No, that's actually a thing there." And I
Mm.
thought people were winding me up,
No,
but yeah, it was
it's the
on
problem that
Real Evidence Live.
it's absolutely a thing. So yeah, anybody who wants to go to East Drive, that's your best way of doing it is keep something recording, but keep it recording when you're making a cup of tea. Keep it recording when um, when you think about to pack up, because like I said, we did these long ass live streams from 8 till 5 in the morning. By the time you get to 4 or 5 in the morning, you're talking out your ass. You're talking nonsense because you're so overtired. And so we would stop at 5. Thanks very much. We'll join us again later on tonight where we'll do it all over again type territory. We would then turn the cameras off finally. Within 10-15 minutes, you've shut everything down and you're crawling into bed because you're just that shattered. And they would go in. I would sleep in Diane's room. Dale would sleep in Philip's bedroom, and we would just turn everything off and crawl into bed. And it was already light anyway, so it's difficult. So we would sleep till lunchtime usually. Um, but there was a one time when we're doing this. I don't know whether it was day 3 or day 4 or whatever, and we're calling out, and nothing's going on for the whole live stream. 8 hours of absolute bugger all, nothing at all. Yeah. Just seeing
You just
Tim's
see the
comment
child
about me being a
catcher, did
child
you?
catcher. Yeah, because with child spirits, I used to do impressions of the child catcher. Anyway, it's just really creepy at 4 in the morning. Anyway, so we'd do all these things, calling out, and then nothing going on. We'd go to bed. I, you know, I'd close my bedroom door. Dale would close his bedroom door. My head would hit the pillow, and I can sleep really quickly if I'm dog tired.
Mm.
And within 5 minutes, I heard marbles hitting the skirting boards outside my bedroom door. And I'm thinking, you absolute knobhead, because you have not done anything for 8 hours. And the point we turn everything off, and the point we shut the door, and the point we want to go to sleep, you start something's throwing stuff, throwing marbles on the landing. You can hear it clear as day hitting the skirting boards just outside your room. And for that point on, I thought, yeah, something is listening and watching, and it's like, I'm not playing by your rules, and I'm
So,
gonna do what I want to do.
how many hours do you reckon you spent at 30 East Drive? Because obviously, a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh my god, he's had all these experiences. I've got to book in. I've got to book in
Oh
now." But that's not.
no,
It's not.
hundreds of hours, and like I say, I can probably count on one hand the decent experiences. So
Yeah.
it is 99% nothing at all. And funny enough, when I've been over there since, and I obviously went with you, when I went with Steve and Griff. Um, since after the Paranormal Truth days, every time I've been back since, nothing's happened. It is. I don't know what was going on in 2019, 2018, 2019, when all these things were going on, but since then, I've had nothing since I've gone back at all. Not
Yeah, it seems to
nothing.
be for the legitimate people at least. It seems to be getting quieter and quieter for everyone.
Yeah,
There's very few claims coming out of there from legitimate people anymore. I mean, Griff just spent 48 hours there, and everything really was him freaking himself out because it's a
yeah.
weird place on your own.
I
It's
think
you're primed for it, but it's
yeah,
weird.
exactly. I think it's harder for me now. I mean, I would love to spend. I'd love to go back there on my own. Let's put it that way. Um, but same as Griff, because if you've experienced something there, that's constantly playing on your mind, and you almost
Yeah,
have to kind of distance yourself from previous experience. I know with the footsteps, the stamping, and the knocking on the furniture, it say it let's say it's a poltergeist, whatever it is, haunting poltergeist, whatever. Something can have an immense amount of power to be able to do that, and
Yeah,
it has time, and I've heard it. And that's not a tiny little tap. That's not a tiny little. So you hear people go into East Drive and say, "Can you just tap this? Can you just?" Right, and it's tiny little things where what I'd experienced was something with much more force and much
yeah.
more power. And so yeah, I would love to go back, but I think psychology is going to play a massive amount, massive, having a massive effect on me because
Yeah,
of
I
what I
said
experienced in the past.
last week to leave from Three Spires. I think I'm done with it for a year or two because
Yeah,
I did it so
you
many
need it.
times so quick. But then last week, I had somebody that I'd been there with before message me like, "We've got 2 nights at East Drive. Do you want to come up for one of them?" And I just yes, no thought about it. Even though I hate the drive, it's always horrendous. I was just
Yeah,
like yes, because if I don't go and something happens, I'm gonna kick myself, and I'd rather go and experience nothing than not go and then something happen and not be there for it.
yeah.
Because another place, I'm still waiting for him to invite me there, Liam. I would love, I absolutely love to go there. He said I can go there, but I wouldn't. Like when I spoke to him about it, I said I don't want to come there and investigate. I'll bring cameras, but I want to recreate what you were doing. I want to sit down with you and have a couple of beers, play a board game. The thing that happened, those things where you saw what you saw, not what Liam saw, but obviously I met one of the guys, and he was genuinely, in my opinion, terrified of Liam's house, and I was like, I've got to go there, and he said, I'll come and I'll have a drink. I was like,
Well, the thing is, I absolutely would happily kind of investigate Liam's place as well, just because it's what I find really interesting is it kind of matches not so much the East Drive thing actually. It matches when I spent some time when I used to live in the Peak District where the home I was in seemingly had things happening, and it was and it probably a little bit like your experience of being at your place. Things would happen at random times. That there's no rhyme or reason behind it. And it, but what I find interesting about Liam's case is he talks about it was a week of madness where things will
yeah,
ramp up and then just stop again. Whereas I never had that. There would just be weird things would happen and you couldn't foresee it and you couldn't track it in any way. It was just odd things would occur, then stop again. But yeah,
yeah,
that's what I find really interesting about Liam's is the stuff that if things happening more often, it's being able to kind of investigate that would be fascinating to me.
yeah. It's like the things that happen here. I mean, we've got a diary, a event diary now. This year, there's 2 events in there, and one of them could have been nothing. The other one is I walked out of here and heard somebody say my name right in my ear, and I shat myself, and then shouted at my kid, thinking, I say kid, she's 21, 22, thinking it was her winding me up. And then I walked in the living room, like, oh, there's no cars outside. I'm on my own. So I put it in the book, and I'm like, is it because I've just been watching the paranormal? It was after watching you, yeah. I'd watched one of your things, and it was a really cool sort of paranormal tale, and I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, fine. I've freaked myself out there, so I've put it in the book. And then what we've started doing is Facebook is great for your memories, so we've started listing the stuff from Facebook to see if there's a pattern. There's nothing to it other than twice a year, without fail, the house will reek of boot polish from the kitchen to the living room. It'll last for sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes up to an hour. And we've called a plumber out, we've had builders out, my dad, her dad, and we can't work out what it is. So
yeah,
my first time I smelled it, because she told me about it, and then I walked in the kitchen. I'd been living here about 7, 8 months. I walked in the kitchen, like, oh, it's the smell. So I'm under the sink. Is it like a bottle of window lean or something that can smell like boot polish? Is it heated up in the summer or next to a hot pipe and split? But that's the only thing that happens. We always get it seemingly twice a year, and that's the only thing we can sort of say it will happen, but we don't know when in the year.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and people are like, "Oh, I'd love," because Steve Griff said, "Oh, we'll come and investigate." It was like it's pointless because it's so intermittent, and we can go. 2 years, and then something one day will just get launched across a room, and I've not seen that myself, but other people have. I've been in a room when it's happened, and I've had my back to it. But Dean was in my house, saw something lift out there, and then fall over, and he just went white, and he went, "I just saw something."
I think with a lot of things though, like I say, you can't preempt stuff, and like the things which would happen in this place I used to live at. There was a time when we'd be sat watching TV, and we just had a Chinese takeaway, and an empty plate that was by the side of a guy who was living with us. Literally did um jumped up from the sofa, did a 360-degree spin, and then land back down on the sofa again. Right, and we were like, did, did they just see that? They see that, and we all saw it, but you can recreate that. It was just one of
No,
those mad things where it
I'll
just
tell a lie.
occurred in front
Yeah,
of us.
I did see something in this house get not thrown, but I saw something lift of his own and then drop back down. My wife was in the kitchen. She'd put oven chips on a tray, and the tray had popped and thrown the chips everywhere. And she went, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "Freezing cold chips, boiling hot tray,
Yeah,
debunked." And I turned, and there was like a plastic soap dispenser. We hadn't even put it in. She's got a nice soap dispenser, but I'm lazy, and I just put the soap in the plastic cushions or whatever brand it was behind the tap, and it just sort of shot up in the air and then dropped back down. And I was like,
so yeah,
"Did you
can't
see
debunk that
that?"
one.
And she went, "Well, go on then, clever clogs." And I was like, "Right, it's got to be the hot tap was on." And I've tried to recreate it for years, never ever been able to do it. So yeah, I have seen something lift, heard loads of things, but never. I don't see it. But when our daughter came downstairs, why did Mum just come in my room and check, or stick her head in and check on me? And we were like, "Your
Yeah,
mum's in the conservatory."
I think just going back a bit. I think the main thing for me always and always will be and always has been is if something is genuine, then there is absolutely no need to fake anything, right?
No,
And if you and the other thing is, and I've always wanted to, and sometimes it's maybe to my detriment, but actually, I would much rather, either visually, like I say, capture it or at least get some audio of something going on, which I know is absolutely and dismissing you just try and dismiss all because people say, no, you've had that happen. How can you be a skeptic? I think you have to be a skeptic to even remotely go into this little hobby of
yeah,
otherwise you become some kind of woo-woo person where every noise and everything is paranormal. And so yeah, I'm still of the opinion that yeah, I've had some mad things happen. I've heard it, I've seen it, and I've had things thrown at me and all kinds of things. um but am I still skeptical? Yeah, bloody right I am. Yeah, I think you have to be, and I think there needs to be that kind of message spread out. You have to be skeptical. It's not a because I think in the old days, the whole Kieran O'Keefe most haunted days, it was Kieran O'Keefe being the skeptic was like, oh boo,
yeah, the villain,
he's the
the
guy that
pantomime
with a bit
villain.
of
Yeah,
rational explanation. Yeah, and I think it's always been seen as here's the the naysayer coming in like Kenny Biddle, who's the person going and actually we've got to turn that around. We all we're saying is okay, yeah, there might be something going on, but it's more likely going to be this, and
yeah.
and that's okay, because I know something weird is happening, and yeah, I won't say am I full on believer. It's tricky because I'm still very, very skeptical, but I think you absolutely do need to have that mindset of questioning everything.
Yeah, you have to either to dismiss or to warrant further investigation, because otherwise you're putting yourself in your own in an echo chamber in your own brain, and then you'll find yourself believing everything. And to
Yeah,
me, there is no greater feeling than either working out something like me and Dean did, where it was like, what the hell was that just passed our faces? And spending 40 minutes, it's only 2 minutes in a video, but spending 40 minutes chasing ducting through an abandoned care home to find this little
yeah,
tiny hole and how it was funneling. I loved that. But then the flip to that is to just stand there and with exploring the entity one time, and just say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
caused that, and I can't recreate it. That to me is. I'm not going to say it's a ghost. I'm not going to say it's paranormal, but it's weird and it warrants further investigation. And it's just a shame that I couldn't go back to that place because I'd love to have. So before we get to the viewer questions, because I reckon we'll need about 45 minutes. Um, have you been to any other locations, paid or otherwise, where you think there's been something there or you've experienced something strange?
Um, couple of the things, but actually they're quite small and kind of unheard of. So when a little bit like when Paranormal Truth was kind of spreading its wings a little bit and getting more well known, we would get a number of people asking, saying to us, "Oh, we've got somewhere haunted. You can come to us and investigate it." So
Yeah.
one of the places we went to was a hair salon in Birmingham, and it was called Noakes's. And we were there. We said, yeah, okay, we can do a video. It's free. We can get in. We'll do a video, an investigation. It's literally 2 rooms. A place at the front where people do the haircut, and a room at the back where they would have their hair dyed. That was it. 2 rooms. We were there, but we captured some. We thought we captured nothing, but
Yeah.
on the review of the footage, one of our cameras captured this smoke appearing within the second room. There was nothing electrical going on, right, at all. But this kind of
Mm.
smoky, swirly thing that we managed to capture, there was no reason for it. Nothing to could explain it. And it was one of those things where, yeah, we've captured some weird stuff like that. I've had things been, like I say, been thrown at me at the old Nick Theatre in Gainsborough from an empty space. So yeah, and growls from the old police cells, that kind of thing. That was kind of cool.
Amazing. We do need to get out again. I know there's a bit of a distance, but we do need to get out again. I'd love to do a bit more with you, and I'd love to take Lou again because I loved working with Lou. Because
Yeah,
when
she's
she's got a
no
notebook
nonsense, is Lou.
and it's like the notebook, and I'm taking notes of my feelings and this and that, and I was like, oh, we got a woo woo. And then when we finally heard something, she was relentless. I am
Yeah,
not until I work out what the hell caused that. And I was like, fair play to her. The two skeptical debunkers gave up and just sat down like, oh, we'll never know what that is. And Lou was
yeah.
just for ages. Right. Who would your dream guest be on the podcast?
Uh, let's think. Dan Aykroyd would be amazing.
Oh,
Not so much for the Ghostbusters, of course, for the Ghostbusters thing, but the fact that Dan Aykroyd has that interest in the paranormal, I think he'd be a
yeah.
great guest. Danny Robbins, I've been trying to get Danny Robbins since I started the podcast. So Danny Robbins, I would love to get on. Like I said, Dan Aykroyd, Bob Lazar would be like the whole yeah. Bob Lazar, I would love to get Bob Lazar on. But I'm never going to get him on ever. But it is, just somebody who's just a bit kind of out there with, in terms of their knowledge or their interests. I think though, I would, any of those people. Oh, I would love to get those kind of people on.
Yeah. Justin, what is
Absolute
your
knobs, Stu. Can't beat a good roll neck sweater.
roll neck? Do you think the ghost
Might be
Margaret?
attracted to your. Finish that question, Margaret.
It's not his jumper, is it? What's your thoughts on Ouija boards? Have you ever done one?
Done lots. Like I said, we did this Ouija board documentary. So we use it a lot, and different boards, and we were looking into how to open boards, how to close boards, the right way of doing things. And we got all these kind of suggestions from people, and we went to, like I said, 10 of the most haunted places in the country. Never did it work. So it is the Idiomotor effect. I'll give anybody that says otherwise. But
Idiomotor
no,
effect don't even
nothing
work for
ever
me.
worked. Yeah, nothing ever worked in any of the most haunted places. There you go.
Question for the Paranormal Monkey podcast. Where's your jumper tonight?
It's too warm. It's too warm. I like I said, I did bring out my Ghostbusters jumper, and I thought, can I wear this? And I thought, nah. It's just too warm.
I'm determined one day to go to a paranormal investigation in my Ghostbusters overalls.
Yeah. I've had
Have you
things
had?
spooky happen in my no, nothing where I'm living now. Nothing at all. I would. I mean, the house I'm living in is from the 1850s. I know.
Ah,
Thinking, come on, come on. I would love something to happen, but no.
where did the name Paranormal Monkey come from?
I stole it basically. um, the reason where it came from is because when I used to work for Phil Wyman and Sarah Wyman, they had their ghost event company, and they would have their own version of a Boo Bear for those that do that kind of thing. But they used to call it the Paranormal Monkey, and I just always loved that name. And so when I finished with them, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to nick that name because I really like it. There
Fair.
you go. That's what it is.
Do you think a building holds on to past people who have lived there and we are hearing echoes of it?
I think there's been some cases where seems to have happened. Um, there's a place where I live in Gainsborough, Lincolnshire, which is called the Old Hall, Gainsborough Old Hall, which some of you may know. There's a famously a ghost of a lady's been seen walking to the corridor down the corridor of one of that, and it's been seen by a number of bugger off, crazy Ken. Do I knit my own jumpers? Cheesy, cheesy. But no, I do kind of think there's a possibility of these replays, and maybe they do hold on to those. But
Yeah, I don't think it's any one thing. It time
no,
slips, echoes of the past. I don't believe in the stone tape movie. It's not a theory; it's a movie. The BBC invented that.
yeah,
Right. If you could interview anyone dead or alive, who would you like it to be?
Harry Price,
Ooh,
Morris Gross. I would love to. Yeah, because I have a love for the Enfield haunting case, and I'm skeptical because I do think they were hoodwinked to some extent, but
yeah.
I would absolutely love to have spoken to those people.
It'd be James Randi for me. I'd
Yeah,
love if if that could
but
ever.
the thing is, I before he died, I spoke to James Randi.
Really?
Yeah, and I was talking to him about ghosts. He is so anti-ghost. He was just like, and even though he was old and frail, and it wasn't that long before he finished on because he was still, even though he was frail, was still doing stuff on Twitter at that time. And I was talking to him about the paranormal, and he had some fire in his belly. Did that man? Absolutely adore James Randi.
Would you be interested in investigating the witch's cage at St. Ostwith with Amy's crypt reopen it?
This, I mean, I don't know whether Amy Script will let me in there, considering I did a podcast about, well, debunking possibly the location of that cage, of the
I'm
witch's
going to
cage.
surprise you, yeah.
Go on.
Amy's Amy's reached out to me as a debunker,
Oh yeah,
as somebody that looked at that history, and has
yeah.
invited me to go there to see their documentation, to see how it lines up with whatever, and then spend the night there free of charge to investigate on my own.
Hey, that's good. That's really good. I mean, they did say to me that they want to talk to me and come on to the podcast in future. Um, I think that they're going to be producing, like I said, like you said, their own documentation as a like as an answer to the
Yeah.
paranormal reason who did their own research, and they're then going to be documenting their own research and then show and I'm hoping that they will come on and talk about it.
Yeah, I think
And
that's a really
yeah, so
good. This is what we need. This is what we want. Is there's a claim of a building, then there's a
yeah,
claim from an historian, and they haven't just gone, "Oh, I'm being bullied," or "These skeptical people are nasty." Let's invite the debunker. Let's go on the podcast with just. I hope it all comes off because it'll show a lot of people how this should be done. I think them reaching
yeah.
out to me, I genuinely they've quite impressed me with that because they know I mock their app.
Great. I spoke to them the day after the podcast came out with Paranormal Reason and their research around the cage, and so they phoned all right. They phoned me, gave me the number, and I was talking to Jared and Amy, really, really genuinely lovely people, and saying how should we go forward with this, and this is what we think, and And I think they were concerned, obviously, about what may come of it if it becomes the issues around the historical accuracy of the cage and things. But they are absolutely open and genuine and lovely people, actually.
Hmm. Yeah. If 30 East Drive has issues, how do you believe the odd things are paranormal if you can't prove the unknown?
It's a very good question because a lot of
Hmm.
the time I try to. In the past, what I've done is we've witnessed odd things, but I've never nailed my colours to the mast and said, "Yeah, this is paranormal." I've always said, "That's interesting. That was really weird. Oh, we captured the sound of a pig on camera, which wasn't there, and oh, we captured the tapping from within a bedroom, and there was nobody in there." And so, is it paranormal? Oh no, we can't say. And that was always my go-to, and I was quite happy to say I'm so skeptical. I can't say whether it's paranormal or not until that night when it was just
See,
insane.
the other side of that coin, though, how can you not see it's paranormal with when you put all of those things together, all those weird experiences that we have been chasing for years and years and years, paying for
Yep.
locations and the things you experienced as a child. How can you not think it's paranormal? Do you know what I mean?
I think there's something going on,
Hmm.
and like I said, even though I've witnessed some very strange things, does it stop? I could just say, well, do you know what? I've had my proof. I've had my personal proof,
Yeah,
and therefore this is going to, and therefore I've had all the information I need, and this is as good as it's going to get. Am I going to stop? No, because it's just a fascinating subject.
but for those experiences, they are beyond the normal, surely.
Yeah, yeah,
Except the
yeah.
flip flop.
So flip flop. Yeah, exactly.
Beyond the bay window. Thank you for the 4.99. I'll let Justin answer that. I'm filming my first investigation for the channel this Saturday at my haunted hotel. I have all the gear and no idea. Any advice, gents?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've got one or two ways of doing it. You can either go around like everybody else does with a camera and literally do a snapshot of every room, and investigate a certain amount of time in different rooms. What I would say is going back to Kenny Biddle's argument: investigate the claims. What are the claims of the main claims from within that building? If there's a particular thing being seen in a particular part of that building at a particular time, that's where you need to put your cameras. So
Yeah,
I would say
something you
investigate the
never see
claims.
there is people investigating the hallway from the stairs and around and down that hallway. Because if it's real, there has been a number of shadow entities reported there, and nobody ever investigates there because you shut off into rooms. And also, I had the run of the place the last time I went, and I completely forgot about it. But yeah, I'd spend some time in that hallway, and I would suggest you say to them, "Can you not lay me out a plan? I want to lay you out a plan." And then you take away for your benefit and theirs. People can't then say they've controlled that entire thing if you've gone there with a plan that they don't know about and they allow you to do it.
I mean I mean I can remember this is years ago now. I joined ASAP again. I was a teenager. I was probably about 15, 16 when I joined ASAP and did their investigator training courses and things. And it's with Steve Parsons. And we were placed in this hotel. I can't remember where, in the middle of England somewhere. And we were just told to go into a particular room and just record everything and anything that we got. We didn't know anything about the room whatsoever. We didn't know whether it was had a haunted reputation or not. We were just told to record anything
Mm.
and everything that occurred. And I think that actually can sometimes be a really interesting way of investigating, of going completely blind and only find out later on from that's the opposite of investigate the claims, basically. But it's still an interesting way to conduct investigation.
Yeah, I did. The priest cart is completely blind. They offered to tell me, but they said we prefer not to tell people the claims, and we were like, no, we don't want to know anything, and just see if we. The only thing I knew was the blocks falling over, which I debunked.
Yeah.
Justin, you seem to have witnessed a lot of East Drive, but to your knowledge, have you ever been touched by anything?
Nope. 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 Never. I've never been scratched. I've never been pushed. I've never felt that I've been scratched or pushed. I've no. I don't wish. I mean, I that's why I'm still very skeptical of people that say, "Oh, I've got 3 scratches," and so I'm still very skeptical of that kind of thing. But that's probably because I've never experienced it.
Yeah.
And even if I did experience it, I would think I'd probably scratch myself,
Yeah,
and forgot about
I've
it.
seen a lot of people with the theory that humans can produce scratches just by like thinking about it, and I'm like, that's going into X-Men territory here. But then teenagers and people of age, coming of age, can cause poltergeist activity, and I'm like, well, that's telekinesis. That's every
Yeah.
bit as bizarre and out there as the dead doing it. It's
Yeah.
wild. Do you think you're both attracting these things in your life?
No. No. No.
Um,
I mean, I personally don't think that. So I think I've if I'm attracted to things, then I'm pretty shit at it because I
yeah.
don't hardly get anything happening. That's the thing is, and if you go there thinking you're going to attract stuff just because because I had a poltergeist as a kid, no, no. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't think I attract things. For a long time, I convinced myself that I attracted things because of my Ouija board experience. But if that experience was as real as I thought it was, now that I'm more skeptical, why do I still not have those experiences as strongly as I
yeah,
did? Um, so no, but I think my wife attracts things. I think she's very open to it. Kind of in the way Ali is. Now, obviously, I've never seen anything happen around Ali to say that he's attracting it, but my wife seems to get things in a lot of
yeah.
places. And I think there's something, maybe it's her openness, or I don't know, maybe she's Jean Grey from the X-Men. Um, oh, Jolene. I
Jesus
think
Christ, no.
we've both got the same hatred for that, haven't we?
I cannot stand Mariah Carey. Same as I can't stand Jane McDonald. Anyway,
Have fun with the peanut. A question, really.
so
But I'm very proud of Justin, and may you both continue to grow and succeed, and more importantly, paranormal. Thank you,
thank you,
Weird
Lou.
Fox. I never know what to call her. Do you know when people have got nicknames and I'm terrified that I'll leak their real name?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even though everyone calls her Lou, I still like Fox, Weird Fox. I just like calling her Weird, to be fair. When that weird woman turned up 30 Strive with the spirit level, this is how you do it. It's like, who the fuck's she?
Watch out.
Uh, 30 Drive is a major top conversation tonight, but would you rather chase closure of your previous experience at East Drive or discover new places and potentially uncover new experiences?
Oh, good question. I
That's
like
pretty
that.
good.
I would still be open to go to new places. I mean, I think and I've got to stop myself because I've been to so many places already. Um, and usually the places with the big reputations are the ones which tend not to do anything. And that's always been my thing. But should that stop me from going to new places? No, it shouldn't. I'd still be happy. There's so many places in the UK I've never been to, and I would love to
Yeah.
go to, and there's loads of places abroad I would love to investigate. So yeah, I'd always love to go to new places. Chasing closure, I don't know. I mean, I think I would probably, if I was invited, and I'd still have that because I've had some mad things happen at East Drive. I would probably I don't know if I'd close it down because I've already had my proof, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I would still be interested to go carry on going back because it is one of the very, very few places that seemingly has given me something paranormal, genuinely
Yeah.
paranormal, not
I mean,
and yeah,
I thought
that's
I
my
was done with it for a while, but obviously, as soon as somebody said, "Do you want to come?" I thought, yeah. So, what's your favourite horror movie?
that's so hard. That's so hard.
And it can change
The
depending on what you've watched recently.
the only horror movie that genuinely scared me was the Blair Witch Project when I watched it in the cinema. When I watched it in the
Really?
cinema in the full dark, and they're rushing out of their tent and things like. I was genuinely like, oh fuck it. I was genuinely kind of like, but yeah, in terms of, but I do have a real love of Nightmare on Elm Street just because I had all his posters and things on my bedroom wall as a kid and stuff. I love Freddy Krueger.
He terrified me, which is why I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. Genuinely traumatized me as a child. I was way too young. It terrified me, and now I've got Freddy glove and figures and stuff all over my door because it's genuinely the scariest thing I'd ever seen. It scared the shit out of me. Like, do you think you would look better in a pink or a purple jumper?
Well, bear in mind, my face already looks pink. If I had a pink jumper with a pink face, I'd camouflage. So probably purple, wouldn't it?
Right, do you think it's good or bad you have the same jumper sweater as Matt Rife?
Christ, do I? Bloody hell.
Burn it.
Let's not even go there.
What's your opinion on ghost cows?
I tell you what, though, I will just say when I was doing stuff on my own, when I went out on my own, you learn a lot on your own. You know, forget YouTube stuff. And one of the things I learned was the sound of cows in a field at night is actually really weird.
Yeah.
And at first I was, who the fuck was that? And it's just, you know, it's wildlife outside when you whether it's foxes, deer, cows, things, they make the weirdest noises. And yeah, so that's always yeah, I would just say don't believe in ghost cows, but do believe in cows that can freak you out if you're not expecting it.
The other thing to that is, I'm sure it was your live stream where somebody said, you know, how do we know we're not seeing ghosts more often, but they're modern ghosts and we just don't know any different. And I made a joke about, oh yeah, that guy wearing Adidas poppers in Cardiff last week, he wasn't off his trolley, he was a ghost. And it always reminds me of the story of a guy in Swansea seeing his mate outside a shop, and it turned out his mate had died while he was away in with the forces and stuff. It's always made my skin crawl, that. And it's like, I wonder how many, if, you know, it might probably not even true, but it don't have to be Victorian.
Dale, who I used to investigate with, Dale had that happen to him. He saw it. Yeah, he was coming out of the supermarket. He saw his mate on the opposite side of the road. He said his mate's really not seen him in ages, and a school friend. He said he's got really strange fashion sense, and his hair was a bit wild and things. And it was clearly him, and clearly, obviously him. And he shouts at him and waves at him across the road, and then he ignored Dale, and he thought that's a bit weird. That, you know, usually you think it's a mate, schoolmate. He'd seen me, recognised me, would have waved back or something. Didn't say anything to him. Just carried on walking down the road, and then he got back home and mentioned to his mum. Said, "Hey, I saw I can't remember his name. Steve." I was saying, "I've seen Steve in ages." He's just, I saw him the other. And well, no, you could have seen Steve because, like I say, he died, I think, 6 months prior. And he says, and to this day, Dale was like, I swear to God, he says he was as clear, and it was. I know him. I know him by sight. I know his dress sense. I know his hair. It was him. There couldn't have been anybody else. And did I? And so he was left questioning whether he actually saw his mate or whether it was
so similar to my mate Phil. He was adamant he saw. I never met this guy, but I heard stories about him. But he was adamant. He was stood outside Primark, and he was like waving, and then he went home and said to his mum, "What was that about? I saw him waving at him. He was staring directly at me. Didn't register." And I thought, "Oh, I'm going home." Asked his mum, and she was like, "Nah." When you were. Phil was out in Afghan, and when he came home, yeah. What do you think about Beardo's interviewing technique?
Right.
It's easy with Justin.
I mean, the thing is, no, Beardo's good. I mean, give you your due, Beardo. I tell you, like, you're keeping the questions going, which is awesome. You know, I know it's easy now because there's questions on the screen, but yeah, keeping the chat going for over an hour is more than what I can do.
I think people forget how long I've been at this. Not so much interviewing, but live streaming. I've been at this for 7 years. So when people are like, "Oh, why can't other people keep up like Beardo?" It's like, well, in 7 years' time, they will be. If you could go back in time to an alleged haunting happening, for example, 30 East Drive, and investigate as it happens, which one would it be?
It wouldn't be East Drive, actually.
I know your answer to this.
Mine would. it would either be the Battersea poltergeist case or the Enfield poltergeist case.
Not
And
Bally.
I no, not Bawley. Bawley's interesting. I do have an interest in Bawley Rectory, but I have a real fascination with poltergeist cases. So
Mm.
any and if it's Tina Resch, I'd love to investigate. But any kind of like poltergeist cases, particularly, I'm absolutely fascinated by. So yeah, any of these old famous poltergeist cases, I'd love to have investigated.
Yeah, I'd like to have a deeper conversation with I've forgotten her name again from the Battersea Poltergeist, because she did email me 2 years ago, and she's like, it's so
Get her
nice to have
on.
a skeptic saying, but I haven't heard from her since, so I hope she's well. I genuinely hope she's well, because she's a lovely, lovely lady. Right. Do you think some people are catalysts and attract paranormal to them, and also the reason people try for years and don't get anything?
Um, well, the thing is, I mean, when in the Paranormal Truth days, we were both so skeptical that we would be called out on it, and we'd say, well, the reason you're not getting the paranormal, the reason you're not getting ghosts is because you're too closed off. You're not
Mm.
open. You're not got to open yourself up to the. And I found that completely ridiculous. I
It's
think if it's going to
bollocks, isn't
happen,
it?
it's going to happen. Yeah, it's
how
nothing
how
to do with
many
me.
how many ghost stories start with I don't believe in ghosts, but or I
Yeah,
didn't believe in ghosts, and then
yeah. I don't think we have any part in it at all.
no. I mean, my mum having an experience at nearly 60 years of age, being a staunch skeptic that mocked the hell out of me for years. Not nasty, but ghost hunting. What are you doing? My dad's even more skeptical. For her to have something, I'm like, even the most hardened skeptics from some people I've spoken to have had experiences that
Yeah.
completely changes their outlook on life and death. It was very emotional for my mother.
I will just say just before I go um, on that note, one of my old schools that I used to teach at was haunted, including my classroom and just outside my classroom, and witnessed by a number of people. And it's very hard with children when things are weird is happening in front of children to kind of act normal. And so yeah, so things just happen. And yeah, I won't say the name of the school and stuff because, as far as I know,
Yeah,
things may still happen there. But things just happen.
yeah. We downplayed stuff here for years, blatantly lied to our kids
Yeah,
because what we didn't want to do is tell them we think the house is haunted when they're kids and then scare them senseless. Well, I say the kids. Our son never saw or heard a thing, but our daughter did. Have you ever investigated a location on your own? If not, do you feel different investigating alone?
think it's I have, and this is how I started was investigating mine, and I do still want to investigate on my own in the future. The one thing I want to be doing in the future is actually investigating on my own. Um, but when I first started, I didn't have full grasp on the dangers involved investigating on my own. So
Mm.
I'd be very 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 cautious now. But when I didn't know any better, I'd be going to these ruins or abandoned places with and not telling anybody about it, just going, oh, I'm going to investigate,
Yeah.
and just disappearing. And so much. And I remember one time I was at where's that Sunt oh Christ, what's it called? There's a demon called a demon church in Lincolnshire, and I went on my own. St. Botolph's Church, I think it's called, and I went there on my own. And then I was investigating it on my own, and three cars pulled up, and all these people started to come towards me. And this is a church which is meant to be known for satanic rituals and a satanic Satanist groups using it.
Yeah.
And so when these three cars pulled up and 20 people get out of these and start walking towards me, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? And you feel very, very vulnerable because you think, okay, are they here to nick my stuff? Are they going to be aggressive? I'm like, nobody knows where I am. And so, yeah, you've got to be so, so careful. It's not nothing paranormal. It's just, yeah, I would be very, very cautious.
Yeah, I've done stuff on my own, and I've always worried, but not about the paranormal. It's if I
Yeah.
fall, if I break, if you fall and your phone's out of reach, things like that, just general health and safety with it. So yeah, if you're gonna go out on your own, let somebody know exactly where you're going. Sorry, I skipped that one then. What about Edgar Case?
Edgar
I've not heard
Case.
of
I'm
that.
trying to think who Edgar Case is actually. I don't. Um, isn't it Ed? Oh, I think. Yeah. All I know is, wasn't he a clairvoyant? I'm sure he was a clairvoyant. In which case, I don't really. I mean, I'm just, yeah. In terms of, I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd investigate clairvoyance and mediums and things, but yeah, I don't really have much of a side. I don't really go down that territory really.
When do you want to visit number 333 and what's your tipple? Well, I'm no longer a beer man.
Guinness, Guinness,
I'm
and
on a
whenever.
diet, so it'll have to be vodka or gin.
Nice.
Um, I don't know. Autumn would be perfect. I hate investigating in the summer in a house. I'd rather be out in castles and stuff. That's what I'm spending the summer doing this year. But if you want me and Justin at the same time, so we can play some darts and pool and have a drink and just leave cameras running to see if we can experience something, absolutely
Yeah.
up for that. And Liam is a fantastic guy with a fantastic 2 books and a fantastic stage production. And he now has a podcast that's on the same time as
Can we
me on
just
a
say,
Sunday, Liam.
and I would just say, William, he's a lovely guy. He's a lovely, lovely, genuine fella.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I know he was, very welcoming to you and to me when we both went to watch the stage production of it. And yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I felt like a rock star, I did. Do you want a drink? These are your seats, sitting by the writer of this book and this play. Lovely. And I met, obviously, some of his family as well, and just genuinely lovely people.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd would be a good choice because you both love vodka. He makes you drink it, you drink it. But my question is, of all the haunted places, which is the most overhyped or bullshit?
Ooh, good question. Overhyped 30s Drive. I will just say that, and it is massively overhyped. I will just say, bullshit. I would. I've never had anything at the Ancient Ram Inn, never, and I've been there a
Exactly the
couple of
same answer.
times. I've been there a couple of times and had nothing. Absolutely no creaky floorboards. Nothing that's even
Silent.
pretending to be paranormal.
No, it's it's over. Have you seen the price on it now?
No, has it gone up?
Oh yeah. The last person that messaged me was like, "What price did you get it for?" Because I've just been quoted 800 quid.
Jesus. No, it was never that much. It was never that much.
It used to be quite cheap.
It used to be a couple of £100. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Bloody
You ever
hell.
consider doing investigations again?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, I
Um,
want to. I want. I have plans. Let's put it that way of investigating on my own, and but I want it. The tricky thing with investigating on your own is that yes, I want to do it for YouTube and things like that, and add it along with my podcast. But it's when you're on your own and you're not with anybody else to bounce off of, it's quite tricky. And also,
mm,
as we all know, it's very tricky being on your own, sitting in silence, and making it entertaining. It's just
yeah,
not, you know.
very, very boring. Would you do an interview with Colin Fry? I mean, I guess you
Well, if
kind of
he
know
was
the answer
alive,
to that.
but he's dead, so you know. But if Colin Fry can actually from the beyond can do an interview with me, perfect. I would love Kenny Biddle to be there because he's been dead years. He's been dead for a long time.
Would you like to have? Would you have liked to interview Derek Acora?
Yeah, I would actually. I, I interviewed his wife, and that was lovely actually recently. To speak to Gwen, and but yeah, I think particularly before he passed away, I'd have loved to have interviewed him. You know, prior to getting to Paulie, but prior to him getting Paulie, but in that period where actually he didn't give much of a shit about what most haunted said about him, and I would love to
Yeah,
have got his thoughts about his treatment actually.
it's a shame that I had such a negative opinion of him until I spoke to Gwen. and
Yeah.
then the truth came out. Obviously, I know a lot more than I'm allowed to say, but obviously there's other people from that show that I've spoken to, that you've spoken to, and that man was not treated well at all. It's
No.
quite disgusting, really.
Yeah, and he's still not being treated well. I mean,
No,
I
no.
saw a thing on Facebook the other day where I think it was actually on Gwen's Facebook page. It was only like a couple of days ago,
Mm.
where somebody had messaged us saying that they went to watch Carl and Most Haunted at one of their theatre shows, and somebody asked him a question about Derek, and they said, "Oh, I'll just say three things about Derek. He was fake. What was it? He was something. He was fake. He got the sack, and now he's dead." And that was Carl.
Any need? Just let the
You know,
guy and his family leave them
yeah,
alone. Just
yeah.
oh, it's
And I
horrible.
thought, do you know what? That says a lot about Carl Beatty. I'm sorry, I cannot stand the man.
No, I've got opinions.
Yeah.
uh, do you believe in mediums?
I would still like to speak to a medium. And obviously, friends with Ali and Ali and Sadie and stuff, and these psychic medium things. So I am still willing to be convinced. Let's put it that way. And yeah, I do what do, I've personally not had a medium say to me things which is so out there and so specific to me that would have me believe in their abilities. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I believe Ali believes. I don't think Ali is pulling the wool. Otherwise, I'd never have gone on a location with him. Um, but for the most part, I do not trust or believe in psychic mediums. Ali is one of the few people that I just thought, you know what, that guy, yeah, I'll work with him because I want him to convince me
Yeah,
or
and
some,
he's open to it.
yeah.
Exactly.
And he's open to us. He's open to us, knowing that we are skeptical, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Do your parents still live in the same house? If not, do you know if another family now live there?
My parents lived in that home, in that house, until I'm trying to think now. That my mum has been in her current house for about 10 years or so now. But up to that point, yeah, they were there for a good amount of time. But I don't know the family who live there now.
Have you ever seen a full-bodied apparition?
No, never have, and I wish I had. I know people who have seen things, but I personally haven't seen it. It's all been audible or movement of things.
I don't believe in haunted cemeteries. Nobody lives there, so why would the dead roam there? It's just where they store corpses. You can conclude if you can conclude something is paranormal if one hasn't located the cause. Until then, it's an assumption. Sorry,
All
Kenny.
right, Kenny. Oh, do you know what? He's such a
Fucking
stickler, isn't he?
fucking debunkers. I hit him twice then because he don't like being called that. And you meant
He
can't.
loves it.
Maybe they don't mess with electronics as much as they can mess. Huh? Maybe they
Maybe
don't
they don't
mess.
mess with electronics as much as they can mess with electronics. Does that make sense?
I'm lost it. Very sorry. Being
Maybe. Go on, carry on.
no, I've lost my trail of thought. It's just somebody complaining about my sound again. I've been trying to ignore it all night. I don't know why my mic's playing up live, but it's fine in the studio. How do people know if a building or object is haunted?
I think I mean, it is very tricky, and I think actually, I mean, what I find, I don't know about objects. I'm not really into haunted objects at all. I'm just not a believer in haunted dolls, haunted thing. I'm really not. But you, it's a tricky thing because I've been in a situation where weird stuff has happened, and when you get repeated weird stuff that happens without a sensible explanation for it, that can give you the first inkling that something weird might be going on. But write it down, record it. It's probably nothing. But yeah, there's a but yeah, it's I would say over time things might be more obvious.
this isn't about you either, Beardo, but talking about people. Do you know what? If it's not about me, then why put that in the chat? Take it wherever the issue is, not you. Thank you. All right, whatever. Thanks, let's give it a go. Harry is happy to be interviewed about it all, so I'll get the lowdown and go to those areas. I've met Harry twice. Very, very nice to me. I'll say that Harry has always been very, very nice to me. I don't know the other. Shorty that works there. Shorty's an in real life friend, so stick with Shorty as well. Shorty's a good guy. Oh, we're at 10 to, and I'm on 26 minutes on the chat. I've done adjusting. Kaylee, thank you for the 24 months, 2 whole years. I appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. Corey Edit Queen, if a significant number of individuals fabricate paranormal occurrences, does that not impede the substantiation of genuine paranormal phenomena?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the main issue why the paranormal scene is a joke. It just is. You know, it's the number of the number of people faking stuff is why it's seen as a joke. And so the genuine stuff, the genuine either genuine events or genuine teams get kind of not even mentioned because there's so much fakery out there.
Yeah. Which fake paranormal content creator would you have on your podcast, and would you debate him, her on fake stuff they make?
I would absolutely, and I've be hand on heart, I would absolutely love to get Yvette Fielding on. Right. I just don't think she would. And I would say because I think certainly in the UK, I think Most Haunted clearly fake had the most influence and the most fakery. So I'd love to be able to speak to Yvette Fielding. Right. If it's any big American YouTube channel, if it's I mean, the thing is, my kind of line of questioning they'll turn off, they'll turn away, they'll just leave, go, no, I'm not going there, because I think anybody who fakes stuff, they just will not want to answer those kinds of questions. They won't want to go there.
I mean, I threw the gauntlet down to Barry Guy. I was like, you want open communication, you want respect, fine, email me and we'll do a live stream. Yeah. But the second you lie, I'll end it. And he had people in his comment section that he was just banning over and over and over again, telling him, go and do it, defend yourself, because this is your opportunity. And there we go. Beardo, I expect you to be wearing a hideous jumper to mock Justin. What a missed opportunity. It's been really hot in the UK today.
Yes.
Really hot. I was looking for one of Mrs. Geek's hippie cardigans to put on to mock. Sorry, Kaza. And thank you very much for the 32 months. Right, I'm sorry, chat. I am just scrolling to questions as quick as I can. Do you think the majority of people experience paranormal activity in childhood and we are searching for it as adults? Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good question. I can only say from my point of view, I mean, not necessarily childhood, but I think I think more people, if they've felt something's been unexplained, they've had something happen to them, it can be at any point in their life. I think they'll want to kind of, I think they'll want answers, basically. It doesn't matter whether they're a child or an adult.
There was me saying about worrying about Lou. We've been calling him Liam all night.
William C. Grave, you mean?
We've kind of answered that one already. How do people?
Yeah.
It all comes down to interpretation as well. For some people, everything is haunted. There are certain people that will believe everything is a ghost, everything is haunted. And
I'll just very, very quickly say that the most common reason that you might think something is haunted is stuff moving around or happening, which is a bit weird. First place I'd look is your cats and your pets, because they have a tendency to move things.
Yeah, our kitchen poltergeist who used to open cupboard doors stopped when the kids got older.
Yeah.
Have you spent the same amount of time anywhere else as you have at East Drive? Wondering if you spent so much time to experience anything.
No, haven't spent anywhere near as much time at any other location as I have at East Drive. Would I? Yeah, that's why I can't say, I can't dismiss any other location because I just haven't been there enough. And even though I've had nothing at Ancient Ramin, for instance, maybe I just haven't been there enough. Maybe I will.
Just in cream and jam or jam and cream? I'm not saying it the way Crow says it. He's a weirdo.
No, there's only way to have it. It's jam, not jam. Jam and then cream, because you can't have cream first and then jam. That's weird.
You two are really weird, right?
Yeah, we know that.
That's
Cheers.
a compliment.
Yeah.
You said once you were Simon's cousin. Is that true? You joke, or were you joking?
No, a family member, my uncle, said that that we're related. So I'm meant to be a half cousin of Simon Cowell. There you go.
Oh, right. Explains the way you wear your trousers.
Yeah.
Just you should try and get Don Phillips on your podcast. Steve Mira can get you in contact with him.
I have tried, Alistair Crowley. I have tried to get Don Phillips on. He obviously lives in America. I've contacted him, and he's been umming and ahhing about whether to come on, but he's only umming and ahhing and he's only like, well, maybe I'll do it because you've spoken to Steve Mira. So I'm still trying to get Don Phillips on.
Look at this. Not a question, but I love your jumpers. But can you stop wearing them on Mondays and Thursdays around 8 p.m?
All right, Sandra. Bloody hell. What do you mean?
Apologies, this has been asked at the leave earlier. Is that Ouija documentary you did for Prime still available, and what's it called?
It was called Ouija Dicing with Death, ? And it was on Amazon Prime, but there was I do not think, if you try to look it up now, I don't think you can find it. I think Dale took it down. But no, I don't think it's around now, I'm afraid. This is going back a fair while.
Just in, when you're going to go out and film your first investigation video for your channel?
I know now that, see, Ali bought me a camera and everything for Christmas.
Right.
So it's like that was it. He says, all right, there you go. Here's your camera. Now off you trot and get out there.
Get on it.
Yeah, I know. I do need to get on it, particularly while it's nice weather and things. So yes, I do want to have done it, filmed it, and got it out before the end of the year, at least one or two.
If ghosts do indeed exist, why is there no ghost dinosaurs? Or is that what we're all putting down to something not so nice to feel a ghost do exist, as I have witnessed one as a child?
Not the ghost dinosaur question. Oh, damn it, Bristol.
It's because they weren't sentient, fool.
Yeah, they didn't believe in Christianity. Therefore, they didn't have that fear of going across to heaven and to the afterlife, and therefore that they died happily.
Explain ghost dogs then.
That's not Christian either.
Is it true that babies can see? It's not something you could ever measure.
No, I mean, I do love the tales of children and having reincarnation, events occur. That's fascinating to me. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, when I looked at with the family in India, where he knew the name of the shop, but he couldn't quite pronounce the words properly. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Kazza, thank you for the 20 gifted members. I finally got there. Look, I'm only 20 minutes behind you. Holy shit. Right, this stream elements go mental. That'll save me some time. Sorry, chat. Justin, do you find it funny when no one claims to see... stop asking the same shit! Right, do you think you could ever be scared by an experience that would stop you hunting? And I'll do one more.
I haven't yet, and I've been doing it a good while. There's places that I haven't liked, but I don't think it stopped me from going into them. There's places that are kind of psychologically a bit freaky and a bit scary, but that's down to me. That's not down to anything paranormal.
Right, what are y'all's thoughts on multiple dimensions, and maybe when someone thinks they see an apparition, they are seeing a thinning of the veil between dimensions and the people there?
I like that theory. I do kind of like that theory. That it's something we're just kind of passing like ships in the night kind of thing. So yeah. I kind of like that. I don't have any evidence for it. I do like that as a theory though.
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. It's something I've discussed on other live streams and stuff. Right then, sorry I didn't get through everyone's questions, but Justin is in-depth interviewee.
I just talk a lot.
No, but it's great, isn't it? Because there's no awkward silence, and it's why I'm starting out with people that I know. Because if it gets awkward, I can just take the piss out of them.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But we haven't had to do that. Justin, thank you so much for coming on. It's nice to get you this side of
No
it.
problem.
Because normally you're the guy grilling people. Thank you for sharing your stories. Guys, if you can please go over and check out the Paranormal Monkey. He is live on Mondays at 8 p.m. and every other Thursday with the Chimps Tea Party, where he tries to discuss
something paranormal related, not jumper related.
Just flies off the rails.
Yeah,
Nothing to
and
do
I'm
with
doing
me.
that I am doing that tomorrow as well. So Chimps Tea Party will be tomorrow, even after this chat.
There you go, Chimps Tea Party tomorrow. Right, I'm going to put Justin into the green room in a second. Anything else you want to get out there with merch or anything like that?
No, just like, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 5K by the end of the year, basically. So if you subscribe to my channel, I will absolutely love that, and I appreciate that massively. So thank you, and just a big thank you, and thank you for all those comments in the stream and all the questions. So thank you, guys.
I enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Justin.
No worries.
Right. So that was a lot of fun. That went really quick. So far, these have all gone really quick. I looked at the clock. Like, is this going to be 9:45, 10:45? It was like, shit. It's nearly 0:00. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the memberships, the gifted memberships. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for hanging out with us. I think that's the busiest podcast style live stream that we've had, so I really do appreciate it. Obviously I don't have end screens and all that here because I don't know if you can put them on this. I am going to drop a link into the chat because Flurio has a premiere. Flurio's had to take some time out of YouTube with some mental health issues, and YouTube does tend to punish people for taking time off. So if you guys could please go over and show some support. She's a fantastic debunker adjacent channel, Debunker. She also debunks psychic mediums. That's sort of her forte, if that's your type of thing. That's pinned to the top. So, thank you, everyone. Do have a fantastic rest of the week, because I don't think I'm back live or anything. I'll see you in chats here and there. And I never know how the hell to end this. Much love to you all. Beardo out.